Guys, don't worry. Hey, how you guys doing? It's been a while. Welcome to the stream. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump right into the subject so that people who are watching the replay, they can get their satisfaction. And then we'll do some Q&A and some other stuff that we typically do. Hello to everybody. So, the video topic, why are coding jobs hard to get? Short answer, depends. Depends how you approach it. So what I'm going to do, well, let me back up. I know people get jobs right away, and I know people, though competent, takes them much more time, depending on circumstances. So let me just go over a few bullet points here, and then we'll just do the Q&A. So what's the number one reason that people have a hard time finding jobs? Probably because they lack job finding skills. It's a skill in of itself to prepare for a job, to interview for jobs, to prepare your resume properly, to follow up. It's a process. Very few people that I know of anyway get the job on the first shot. Usually you have to go to many job interviews before you make the right fit with your prospective employer. You have to understand, when they're interviewing candidates, they're not only looking at your skill sets such that they align with what they need, but they're also looking at your personality. They see if your personality will mesh with people who are already at the business. So you're going to have all these kind of issues flying around. So, so number one, make sure your resume is clean, well written, professional, concise, to the point. Make sure you emphasize the skills that they're looking for. So for example, you're applying for a Python Django job, don't put your JavaScript skills at the top of the resume. Emphasize the Python Django skills, right? Number two, when you do go into the interview, you're going to have to develop some good speaking skills, some good interpersonal skills. These are key because, again, they're going to be judging you largely based on that, because when you're working for somebody, you're working with a team of people. That could be a small team, could be a big team, who knows, doesn't really matter. Point is, you're working with other people. So one of the things I've read, IT managers, people hiring people, one of the things they mention that they have a hard time with is finding developers who are not only good at the code, but actually have good interpersonal skills. So you got to work on that as well. You got to be able to talk with people, communicate with people in a good way. Next point, you want to make sure that your skills are in alignment with what type of job you're applying for. So if you happen to be a Node.js developer, don't apply to C# .NET jobs. If you don't have any .NET skills, don't apply to .NET. If you are a junior developer, don't apply to the senior job. So you got to be realistic in terms of what your target is, where you're applying your jobs. Make sure your skills align with the target job. I think the final point is insecurity. I think a lot of people are insecure to even try, and they build themselves up too much in terms of the opportunity, when they realize it should be like fishing, where you fish, you try, it doesn't work, you try again, it doesn't work, you try again, it doesn't work. It's not like, oh no, I didn't catch anything, that's terrible. You have to give yourself a little bit of leeway and recognize that it can take time before you do get hired. So there you go. Case in point, a good friend of mine who is a highly experienced Java developer, many, many years experience, quite good. And he got laid off because the company was downsizing and restructuring, happens. And it took him almost a year and many interviews later to get his next job. And not because he was incompetent, not because, it was just, things happen. And to my point is that, once he was in there, he'd actually won awards within the organization for being an outstanding developer. So it wasn't a question of lack of skill Or was it a question of lack of experience? It was just circumstance. So you don't want to beat yourself up. Is it too low, the volume? All right, I should have done a sound check before. My apologies. Is it, are you not getting a job because you're crap and it's impossible for you to get a job? No, there's probably a lot of other factors involved. So what I should have done is I should have done a sound check initially. So let me do a sound check. Ruby, can you hear me? Put in the comments below if you can hear me clearly or not. I just jacked the volume a little bit. So once again, Ruby, let me know if you can hear me. So yeah, I'm waiting for the comments to come in. And then, yeah, we will continue. So there's always a delay with the video. So I'm going to keep talking about stuff until you tell me the sound is good. I hope the sound was good because how long did I talk? 14 minutes. Oh my God. No, now it's not true. There was 10 minutes before. So volume is okay. Okay, cool. Thanks, Russ Bits. Good. All right. So you can already. Okay, good. So let me recommend, if you're a total beginner to code, besides my Studioweb platform or mentoring program, check out the links below. There is my book. It might be hard to get depending on where you are. Some people say they have a hard time. Other people say you can get it. So my book, this is for total beginners. Even though I wrote it several years ago, it's evergreen, meaning everything I teach in here, 100% is accurate and good for today. That's the book I recommend for total beginners, total noobs, if you like books. And if you want to take your coding skills to the next level, okay, the links are below. The refactoring book as well. So that's a cool book you want to pick up. This is the Java version. There's a JavaScript version. This teaches you how to clean up code, how to make it better, more efficient. This will take you from intermediate level to a much higher level, or at least better at coding. So this will be the book to get. So once you know your basics, instead of learning a new framework, instead of learning a new language, do your refactoring first. I saw my book. I saw your book at my local library. Ah, very cool. And there you go. All right, so sound is good. Sound is good. 100% good. I saw your book at my local library. We launched our MVP, but we had the code start problem. What's your advice? What's my advice? Define code start problem. Let me know what you mean by that. It's not a term I've heard before. So yeah, let me know, and I'll give you my advice. You know, minimum viable product. It should be something that you can expect to have problems. So, you know, you just work your way through. That's why you have an MVP. Hey, Dane, it's been a long time since I watched. Well, it's been a while since I've done a live stream. Welcome to the stream, everybody. This is the official channel salute, by the way. Code long and prosper. Double guns if you're a true pro. I am very good, Zane. So let me go to the top and I will see what's going on. Hello, Rob. How are you? Good evening, Kevin. Long time no see. That's it. What's it called? The song that I was playing before was called, it was actually a piece of music I believe I got off YouTube. It's based on Miles Davis, called A Silent Way by Miles Davis. A Silent Way, same vibe. Pretty good album by Miles Davis. How are you? How are you? Welcome to the stream. Kermit the Frog here. Hi, family, everybody as well. Hey, how are you, Nisa the Queen? All right. I signed up for your course last month, and I love it. Hey, cool. Well, thanks for joining the course. I'm glad you like it. We're very good, very good. Any questions about the subject at hand? Difficulties in landing your first job. The first job is always the hardest, by the way, and then it gets easier with every subsequent one. It's a job, not all black and white. Only you know if the job is right for you. Yeah, pretty much. Oh, live now. Funny times, though. It's just sitting at morning coffee. Hello there. Hey, Max, how are you? Welcome to the stream. Very good. All right. If you can hit those likes, everybody, I would appreciate. Get the likes up to at least 50%. We got 100 people watching. We only got 34 likes. It's good for the Lord of the algorithms. The Lord of the algorithms. Oh, so we might have some stream quality issues. It's apparently David says, hey, keep the live coming. Hey, I appreciate the coffee, David. Thank you. Sounds fine. Ruby. Hearing you. Great. Good. All right. Thanks. I always appreciate sound is good. All right. Yeah, I got, I think it was the ultimate mic now. So we should be good with the sound. Another question I get all the time is laptops, computers to use to code. These days, even old 5-6-year-old computers will be plenty fast enough to write code. Maybe with the exception if you're doing some compiling, C or Java or something, maybe the compiling will be faster if you got a faster machine. But in terms of most programming, you get any old computer is fine. You know, Windows, Mac, Linux, doesn't matter. It's up to you. For me, my favorite laptop of all time is this one right here. It's not the most powerful. It's not the fastest, but it's very fast. It's a MacBook Air. You see how small it is? For me, the laptop is for travel, and it's super fast, SSD based, and it works fantastic, and it's the least expensive. It's more expensive than a lot of Windows laptops, that's for sure, but you gotta understand there's a resale value to this. So even 3-4 years from now, you might get 30% of your money back. So you got to take that off the purchase price. So that's the laptop I would recommend. Let me answer some questions. Any questions? Now is your time. Solomon says, I've been trying to change my career to coding, and I dug deep just to recently find out that I could do most of any type site using a CMS. I'm losing purpose to learn web dev advice. No, because CMSs have their place, and you find that once you need to do something that's outside of the scope of the CMS, you need to have good coding skills. Learning to code will actually make you, ironically, a better CMS user. And there's many things you can do with CMSs, and there's many things you cannot do. So I always teach that content management systems, whether it be WordPress or whatnot, they're just part of the technologies that you can leverage in software development. Sometimes you'd use a CMS for sure. Sometimes you wouldn't. Yeah, I'm waiting for your, what do you mean by code start problems? Could be more specific. Glad the video's dropping. Yeah, so I took a little bit of a break from video making because I've just been busy with all kinds of other things, unrelated. The good thing is that I have no more renovations to do in my place here. Woo! New kitchen and new kitchen, etc. So I'm quite happy about that until I buy a new place. Rob says, I've been trying for a couple of years after getting laid off from web dev position. I think too old, 55. Seems no one will hire at my age. Well, Rob, I don't know. Have you tried freelancing? Put up a really nice site. Try freelancing. You may find you get lots of work there, you know? Of course, my friend I just mentioned before, it took him a bit of time, and he's in his mid-50s, and he got hired. So try different things, see what happens. But maybe freelance might be for you. Hey, Stefan, is it possible? How could I set my stack size in C on Windows compiling with C lang? How can I set my stack size in C on Windows compiling in C lang? That I don't know. I'm not a C developer, so I don't have an answer for you there. Is it all possible to get a remote job as a junior? Yes, you go for junior jobs, junior contracts. The cold start problem, it's when you launch a social network app, but you don't have users and don't know how to find them. Ah, okay. So it's not a software problem, it's a user problem. Welcome to the world. Welcome to the world of SaaS development. That's the hard part. The easy part of building a SaaS-based business, if you don't know what that is, SaaS is short for software, S, as a service. Facebook is SaaS, I suppose, although it's not paid for. Instagram is a SaaS, et cetera, et cetera. You could argue anyway. You just gotta do some tremendous marketing there. You just gotta do some tremendous marketing, especially in social networks, because there's so many out there, and you got the big ones that dominate. TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and so it's going to be hard to displace them. Very hard. But I'm not trying to discourage you. I'm just trying actually to encourage you to have you realize that it's not you. It may get difficult. It's a tough nut to crack. Basic business lesson: when you enter into an arena, into a business where there's a very dominant players and there's no obvious differentiation. You got what I meant. Your products are not so different from the others, not in a radical way. It's hard to displace them. It's possible, but it's hard to displace them, especially now. You have examples. Instagram was able to capture the image market, but now TikTok is coming in and eating everybody else's lunch. So it does happen, but it's tricky. You're just going to have to hit hard with the marketing, get users in as hard, as much as you can, get feedback from them, and start making changes accordingly. How many years of experience do employers look for? It depends on the job. And is there another way to gain experience aside from freelancing, like a non-paid internship? Like a non-paid internship. Yeah, non-paid internship, go work for a nonprofit organization. It's a lot easier to offer your services when you're working for free, but then again, you still need to show that you can actually do something. So that's why I recommend in my mentoring group that people go out there and do a few freelance projects for free, just so they get their hands dirty in code. That's key. Hey Melvin, how are you? Been good all along. Good. Stef, you can't prove soft communication skills with portfolio or projects. What do you do? Well, first thing you can do with your resume is make sure it's clearly written. Soft skills is also written skills. Make sure the writing is very clear and simple and easy to read. Same thing with your resume. On the site, on the communication skill, on the site, on the portfolio site, and on the resume. And then when you go in there, you just got to go in there and then speak well. It's practice like anything else. Dave is coding. Do you recommend selling websites made from scratch? Static ones, portfolios are a good choice for getting into freelancing, or should I jump into CMS for that? Depends on the job. Some jobs, CMS makes sense. Sometimes static 1 to 5 page portfolio sites. So for example, if you're developing a simple site that doesn't require much updates, then you might want to go with one of these builders, or Wix or something. If you need to have something that's updated on a regular basis, have some CMS functionality, obviously use a CMS, WordPress, etc. And sometimes you might want to just go static. I'm doing a mini site, if you will, which is going to be live soon for internal purposes, and it's just static HTML and CSS with a little bit of JavaScript, a little bit of jQuery. That's all we need. And so we're building that. Hey Stefan, I bought your book, and combined with your mentoring program, I think it will give me fine results. Hey, thanks very much. Cool. I'm actually working on the JavaScript certification. Hey, that's pretty cool. That's good stuff. I think we have a mentoring meeting this Sunday, by the way. Can I answer the question? Yeah, go ahead. How long would it take someone getting into coding to start making money? I plan I plan, I buying your course. Depends on the individual. Some people get it going within a few months, and some people can take longer, a year. It depends on the individual. Thoughts on internships? They're good. Short ones, 3 months, get your hands dirty. You got to understand, even if you do a bunch of tutorials and so forth, you have to actually get into the real world and get your hands dirty with real code. Very important. Can I apply by showing my GitHub profile and giving an interview to company as I am non-it filed? I don't know what you mean as I am non-it filed. Hey, Stef, nice to see you. You too, man. Thanks for joining the stream. Hey, Honduras. Very cool. Very cool. Yeah. Hey, Stef, hope you're well. Are you updating the JavaScript course to pro level, like the CMS and HTML course? Yes, I am. I just haven't gotten around to it. I actually planned out the additions, if you will. It's not going to take much to get it up there, but I am updating it. If you're in the mentoring program, of course, you will get that for free. And if you buy the course, if you bought the course in the last year, you'll get the upgrade for free. Hey, Stef, I'm doing your shopping cart course. Will I be ready to do Laravel? So the shopping cart course is something actually I'm going to be retiring soon. It will give you a good idea of what goes on behind the scenes, but it's not necessarily you have to do it. But if you're finding there's a lot to be learned in it, because you're seeing basically how these things are done from scratch. But I would be starting to look at Laravel now if I were you. I don't know maybe if you've done 25% of that shopping cart course, I would start jumping into Laravel. Yeah, this is the M1 Pro. This is the M1 chip. Apple's new silicon, their CPUs are game changers. Linux can save many old systems, by the way. That's true. That's true. Many years ago, way back, a good friend of mine was a big Linux fan. And I had an old machine at the time that it just couldn't run Windows anymore. It was too slow. So we came over and we recompiled Linux. We recompiled the kernel for the hardware on the system, for the exact CPU, for the exact display card, video card, etc., sound card. And so we were able to throw out all the excessive drivers. And it brought new life to the machine. The machine was running like brand new. It was incredible. One of the reasons Windows can get hoggish is because they got to load all these drivers for all kinds of different types of hardware. So it takes up time. You can go Laravel once you're comfortable with PHP. I would agree, Peter. Yeah, I would suggest that. Stef, finished my graphic design diploma and just joined your mentoring program. Hey, welcome to the program. That's what I think I will have a hard time with, finding the first job. Well, don't worry. In the mentoring program, we support you in that, and I'm actually putting out new material to help with job finding and so forth. I assume you've done Lizard Wizard, of course. What's the difference between Solidity and other traditional programming languages? I would have to look at Solidity. I have not seen what it is. These days, my general recommendation about choosing languages, programming languages, I wouldn't get too caught up in it because they're all pretty good. And it all depends on what type of programming you are going to do, the type of company you're working at. That will have more of an impact on the language you choose towards programming languages versus quality of the language. They're all pretty good. Hey, how are you, man? Good. Welcome to the stream. Is coding worth it for non-IT students? Of course, I'm non-IT. I was a major in psychology in university, and my first business had nothing to do with code, but I learned how to write code in '94. There's HTML and some Perl CGI based on my needs. What is the best book on tutorial to learn Java Enterprise Edition? Just learn the basics. Just find O'Reilly tends to make, that's a publisher. O'Reilly tends to make very good books, so I would check out O'Reilly. Just learn the basics, concentrate on the basics. I don't even code anymore, but learning helped me to learn, if that makes sense. Oh, 100%, Dane, 100%. I remember back in the day when I first learned my first programming language. I think it was Perl. And I remember how I went over to do some Photoshop afterwards. And I found that I understood Photoshop better because I learned how to write Perl, which, doesn't make any sense, on the surface. But when you actually get into it and you do it, you go, oh, yeah. Because you start thinking like a programmer. And the programmers, of course, are building the software, especially back then. They're quite nerdy. And so if you can think like them, you're able to use their software more effectively. Is defining a portfolio good website a part of your mentoring course? We asked this question many times. You just say it is a good question. We asked this question many times. We say it's a good question. Defining a portfolio. Yeah, when asked, I go over people's portfolio sites. I do it every week. I take a look. I give you feedback. So if you're in the mentoring program, you can shoot me a DM. I'll take a look at your portfolio site, give you some feedback. I'm going to put out some new mini, I'll call them tutorials for the mentoring program. And one of the things, I'll give you some tips on putting together a good portfolio site. For now, if you're in the mentoring program, just shoot me a DM with your portfolio site, and I'll take a look, and I'll give you my 2 cents. I need a laptop so fast and powerful that it can complete while true loop. It's pretty funny. Nice job on the kitchen. Looks great. Oh, thank you. Yeah. That's Calicut super white quartzite for you guys out there. Yeah. Typing is hard. It gets easier with practice. Stef, you don't need to be a rock solid in it. I just started it too, and we'll go into Laravel soon. You don't need to be rock solid. Yeah, exactly. You don't have to be a master at PHP to get into Laravel. Laravel will actually up your programming games quite a bit. Stefan, did you make a steak and mushrooms lately? No, but I plan on making one tomorrow. I got my 25-day-old aged piece of beef, and it's going on the grill soon. I need help finding a target job because IDK wants the salary I can expect of each. There's a lot to know about this field. Oh, because I don't know what the salary I can expect to each. There's a lot to know about this field, and I know nothing about it. Looking for a remote job at the moment. Well, what you can do, Mr. Helpful Spaghetti, is look at job sites and see what they're offering. Indeed.com is the one I suggest typically. And just check out what they're offering in your particular area. They'll list the salaries, and then you can take it from there. When you're researching a job, research a job. Go out there. Check out different job sites. Contact recruiters. Build up your LinkedIn profile. Make it a job to become an expert, to become good at landing jobs. Is it a good idea to cold email businesses to find projects to work on as a freelancer? Well, you might hit 1%. What I would do, one quick tip is to go on Google Maps and check out local businesses, independent businesses, coffee shops, whatever, butchers, and check out their websites. If they don't have a website at a business, then you can reach out to them. Or if they have an old website, reach out to them. That might be a way of doing it. So you can, as opposed to just randomly calling, try to, focus in on a business that may need your skills, All right, how we doing? All right, so 155, not bad. Yeah, appreciate the likes, guys. Good for the Google algos. How we doing for time? All right. So what's your opinion on getting a job as an HTML email developer or content manager as your first job? Seems like it might be easier than going for a junior web developer job as your first job. That might be a way to get your hands dirty in code and get a little work experience. And who knows, that HTML email developer job may lead into other types of development, even within the organization. So why not? The first job is just to get your first job. That's the key. So you can show prospective employers that you can actually get a job. So you got a good job if you can get a job as an HTML email developer, then I would take it. I would take it for now. You're not getting married here. You're just getting a job, meaning you can quit it after X amount of months, right? But your first job is the job you really want to push hard to get, even if it's a low-level job, as long as you're writing code, as long as it leads to the direction you want to get into. I have not looked at that, so I couldn't say. Wow, wow. All right. All right. Nice content. I appreciate it. Quite a good analogy with fishing, actually, or let's say fly fishing. And that requires some skill and has a learning curve. Yeah, Max. You know, I've never been fly fishing, but I've done surface fishing with floaters in weedy lakes in fresh water. And so you're throwing your I think it's called a popper now. It's been a while. Your stick bait on the surface, and the fish leap out of the water. So you have to know how to play. You have to know how to play the lure and where to cast the line. So the fish is probably there. And that's what you got to do when you're looking for jobs. You can't just scattershot your efforts. You got to plan and target your efforts where you're going to apply, so that you don't waste your time in applying for jobs that you're not likely to get. I had a super chat. Let me scroll down and get to it. Where is it? All right. Tyrone. Yo, I'm currently coding a Discord bot, and at the beginning I felt pretty dumb because I didn't understand shite, although I know how to code. Normal? Yep. When you're jumping into any new type of development, especially if you're new to development, it's going to be dumbfounding. Where do I start? That's just normal. One of the reasons is it's just lack of experience, because you're going to have to train your brain to start thinking like a coder. What happens over time, even if you're jumping from language A to B to C or environment A to B to C, you start seeing consistencies. You start seeing things, this is how they did this in this code, and it's kind of similar to the way they did this in, I don't know, WordPress or something. You get the idea. So you're going to start seeing similar patterns. And what next thing you know, the time it takes you to learn something new will diminish quite quickly. But the first time, you have to expect it to be slow. So I wouldn't worry about that. Let me scroll down. Hold on. All right, how are we doing? Okay, 40 minutes. But time flies. Already 40 minutes. It's unbelievable. What's the second best learning programming language to learn? I think once you got your first, you can decide where you want to go afterwards. I don't have any particular recommendation. That being said, I teach people software through JavaScript, PHP for the server side, and I teach Python for general programming and OOP. You're welcome. Okay. Is it okay to learn JavaScript if I didn't learn C, C++? Of course it is. People will tell you got to learn C, C++ first before you get into JavaScript. They don't know what they're talking about, frankly. It's ridiculous. They're related. JavaScript is part of the C, C++ language. So when you look at the code, the syntax, you'll see some similarities. But JavaScript programming, what you're doing with JavaScript is very different than what you would be doing in C, C++. Would it help you to know C++ first before you jump into JavaScript? Sure. But it will also help you to know Python first before you jump into JavaScript. It would help you to know C# first before jumping into JavaScript. And vice versa. It would help you to learn C++ if you knew JavaScript first. So no, you don't have to learn C, C++ to jump into JavaScript. That is a myth. Nothing wrong with C++. It's a hugely popular and required language. Well, C and C languages, but they're not required to learn anything else. So don't let that unpopular opinion start with C. Start with any language to be able to learn any language. What is second miss? Yes, you can. There we go. Hold on. Let me go down, just finding some questions here. After I completed your mentoring course, I want to revamp my jobs website. I think it would be a good start for building my portfolio. Yeah, sure. Why not? That's cool. I'm 28, studying business. Do you think if I learned to code on the side, I could use this to get a job? Yes, I believe that coding is a great skill to have, especially if you want to get into business, because so much business relies on software and development. So even if you're not becoming a developer, if you understand the basics of development and coding, it will make you much better at business because you'll be able to make more informed business decisions with that coding skill set. Do we have a meeting Sunday at 1 p.m. New York time? Yes, we do have a mentoring meeting. So if any of you are in the mentoring group, we do have a Sunday meeting this Sunday. Of course, it's in the forum. So 1 p.m. New York time. Stef, I've always wondered, isn't there too much cheap work abroad that affects finding good paying gigs in the USA? No, look at the statistics. In fact, they cannot fill the developer jobs in the USA. Not enough people. I'm currently learning Laravel. Is it good for freelancing? Laravel is very good for freelancing. Does age 40 plus affect development skills? No. What skills would you advise to master before becoming 40? In terms of development or just life skills? I'm a big advocate in terms of development of learning of the web because it gives you the most flexibility in terms of jobs, types of coding that you do, most flexibility in the types of businesses you might work for. It's the king of freelance. That's for coding. In terms of life skills, you better learn your money management skills so you can find yourself extracted from the rat race quickly. Once you do that, learn some good interpersonal skills and some good soft skills. That will help you quite a bit as well. And learn to eat well and be in shape. That will help you a lot. You should try narration if you haven't already. You have a serious ASMR voice. Waves on the beach. There you go. I heard that before. I'll tell you a funny story. Many years ago, I kept getting somebody calling my business line at the time. And on that line, it was me leaving the message. It was, hey, this is Stef, leave a message at the tone, blah, blah, blah. And they would call, and then, they would leave no message. They would call and leave no message, and half an hour later, they'd call again, and I could see who was calling, same person. And I was like, okay, why aren't they leaving a message? And then the next day, they did the same thing again. Anyway, at one point, I said, it must be something serious. So I picked up, I heard the call come in. I picked up. So it was this woman she would call to listen to my voice. She would just call to listen to my voice. I thought it was the funniest thing. Any recommendations on equipment to start coding? What PC or Mac should I want to start with? I recommended, if you can afford it, is the Mac Air. That's my favorite. But any entry-level computer is fine. Just make sure it has SSD, solid state drives. That's key. Minimum 8 gig of RAM, 16 be better. And so that's what I recommend. There we go. Laravel is great and powerful. Still recommend to understand enough PHP under the hood though. Yeah, exactly. That's why in my courses, my mentoring, I have them do PHP in the web stack. And they do basic, CRUD operations, some basic stuff. Just understand the flow between the web page and the server and the request response model and so on. A little bit about databases. I do have project-based courses, and I'm retiring those, but they can help as well. So you understand what's actually going on. But from there, you should just jump into Laravel. I agree with that. Age is no barrier. I enjoy learning basic algorithms and writing elegant code. What kind of coding pursuits should I get into? I would just get into actually building real projects. Build real projects as quickly. Start simple little projects and move on from there. Is it good to go for mobile dev since there is so much competition web dev? No, it depends on what you want, you know. What's going on here? All right. Sorry. Whoop, whoop. Sorry. It depends on what you want to do. I think you find a lot. I think there's a lot more web dev jobs, but it depends on what you want to do. Again, the whole job searching thing is a bit of a it's a job. I hope that answers your question. Hey, how are you? Welcome to the stream. Hey, Stef, as a Canadian, are there any challenges to getting hired by a U.S. company for remote work, freelancing? No, I think Canada and the U.S. are the two largest trading partners in the world. It's like massive. No other two countries trades as much as our two countries. So it's pretty open. So I don't think there's any problem with that. Everybody's pretty comfortable hiring Canadians, and Canadians are very comfortable working with Americans. So that's good. Yeah, that's a good computer. ThinkPads have been good computers. One of the best keyboards in the game, if not the best keyboard in the game. Just hopped on to say hi, Stef. Got to work the boring job now. I'll dive into your course in about a week. So can't wait. Cheers. Yeah, thanks for joining. We'll see you. Still working and watching. Yeah, very cool. Very cool. What's more bad for you, coffee with sugar or Ruby? Well, Ruby, of course. I hear Ruby might give you finger cancer. It's not confirmed, but it's possible. I'm learning C++ from scratch and C, but my dream is to program embedded systems, and I've read that assembly is good for that. But we're in Nazungaz, I don't know which to pick. Well, I would start with C++ and C for now. And then, man, assembly. I looked at that a long time ago. That's a whole different world. But if you can get into it, and if you like assembly programming, there's a lot of money in that. But it's a whole different world. Yeah. Matthew says, Lizzie Wizzy, that's Lizard Wizard, my Lizard Brain course, helps with the mentality when looking for a job. Big time. There's a couple things below. There's my Lizard Wizard course. It's part of my mentoring program if you're in it, so you have it there. And I also have my Lizard Wizard Komodo training, which is free. You could sign up below as well. Take a look at that. That is going to transform your understanding of things. It's kind of like Neo in The Matrix, where he takes the red pill from Morpheus and he sees reality for what it is. That's what Lizard Wizard is going to do for you. What do you think of Golang? I haven't used it, but I know it's pretty good. I think Go is apparently very good at string manipulation, if I recall, but I don't have any hard opinion on it. Does it make sense to learn how to build e-com sites from scratch, even if you want to become a Shopify dev? It's up to you. It will make you better. But again, what I teach people to do in the mentoring program is to learn your basics. So for me, it's HTML5, it's CSS3, JavaScript. That's the request response cycle. Do basic CRUD operations, some basic databases, SQL. I teach the back end with PHP because it's the most approachable. Lots of freelance jobs. I'm just saluting people. And and then from there, you can decide which specialization you want to get into in terms of your development. Currently working on creating web apps in Razor Blazor and Angular 12 and Azure from a desktop app creator for land management. Would this be sufficient display of skill sets? Yeah, if you can pull that off and your code is well structured and clean, for sure. Hey, Jasmine. Oh, excuse me. Jeshel. How realistic is it to become a remote PHP freelancer in my house if my house is paid off and only have minor expenses? I'm not sure how, I guess you're trying to say, since your house is paid off and you don't have many expenses, then it would probably be pretty easy even if you got the occasional PHP job. No, it's very realistic. In fact, what you find in freelancing, it starts off really slow, no job. Okay, you get a little crappy gig, no job, crappy little gig. Then all of a sudden, woo, we got a lot of work, and then it's calm, and woo, and you got too much work. It always works that way. So that's very realistic. See, that's good. One of the things I teach in the mentoring program and in my money course is you got to manage your finances. So this dude here who paid off his Morris, he's got his house paid off. That's good. No debt means freedom. And when you don't have many expenses, life is easy. Life is easier. There's not pressure. So yeah, avoid debt. Debt is cancer. I want X years of experience in Y obstacles is a hard obstacle to overcome. Yeah, that's why my suggestion is to do some free freelance projects for people, and then you make it. That could be true. That could be true. Hey Mac, hey Stef, which Mac is good for mobile development, Intel i5 or the series? I would go M1 100%. 100% go M1. That's the future. Yep. I think Lolo4711, his point is 100% accurate. You don't have to go crazy for speed by writing assembler code. Sometimes you might have to. The need for speed at runtime these days is greatly exaggerated because computers are so fast and software architectures are so fast that speed is not nearly as important, or writing for speed is not nearly as important as writing clear, simple to edit code. If you're buying a new Mac, don't buy an Intel one. I agree 100% with that. How are we doing? So the stream will be coming to an end in the next 5 minutes. It's been an hour. I'm losing my voice here. Let's see what we got here. Let's go on. I'm going to find some questions. Question: I get a lot of freelancing offers from headhunters, recruitment agencies almost every day. Don't you have those agencies in your countries? Yeah. See, you got to position yourself. Lolo4711 is probably very well positioned out there, meaning good website, maybe good resume, good LinkedIn profile. You got to get out there. One of the things I talk about, and I've been talking about for years, one of the most valuable assets you will build in your life is your reputation. You need to build good rep. Rep is worth a lot. If you have a great rep, even if you go broke, that great rep will bring you back into the game quickly. So protect your reputation. It's gold. Protect it and build it. Especially these days, because communication is so transparent. Hello, Stefan. Hello from Brazil, Stefan. Learning web dev here to find a job in Canada. And give some advice about web dev in the near future. Laugh aloud. Thanks, Master. Leonardo. Concentrate on your basics. Make sure you understand your HTML and your CSS and your JavaScript well. Have good communication skills. You write well. That's good. And you can look through my back catalog of YouTube videos where I go over these subjects. Internet is good. You get for free here and there. In the days of DOS, we had to buy everything. That's true. That's true, George. I appreciate Daniel. All right, guys, we're going to be wrapping up just in a few minutes. I'll just try to catch a few more questions. Thanks for the thumbs. Would you recommend learning Rust right after learning C, CPP? Only if you feel there's a need for it. See, you don't want to get caught up in tutorial hell or trying to learn this language and that language, because you're going to hear in all different parts of YouTube and other parts of the web, oh, this is the one you got to learn. No, you got to learn this language. No, you got to learn this language. The only thing you can't do is learn Ruby. That's the only thing you should avoid. That's a joke, by the way. Even Ruby. 4K 20-inch monitor, 34-inch ultra-wide. Whoa. That depends on you. I remember I was reading an article by Jacob Nielsen, and they're the usability experts. They got a site, you can look up Jacob Nielsen. And I think they said the perfect monitor for reading is 4K 32-inch. Could have been 5K 32-inch, based on their studies. That's personal taste. I use a 27-inch 5K monitor here. The iMac. Any books on the history of web development? Yeah, it's me. Any books on the history? I don't know, but you could ask me. I lived through the whole thing, right from the very beginning. I had actually one of the very first websites in the world, like one of the very first websites in the world, maybe one of the first 1,000 or 2,000 websites. Seen it all. I've seen the whole development. Thank you for your course. Starting to know that I can do this for a good living. Hey, cool. Congrats. Glad I could help. Where do we go for the meeting? If you go to the forum, you had the private forum which you joined. If you didn't, send me a DM and I will set you up. And in there, we have links to the Zoom meeting. What are your thoughts on computer science degrees? Don't go into debt as a student. Like, be very careful about that. Debt is poison, and student loan debt is poison personified. So be careful with that. Why? Because you can't get rid of student loan debt through bankruptcy, so it's very dangerous. That's number one. Number two, you get a computer science degree if you really want to work for very large companies that may require a degree, although the need for degrees is diminishing over time. That's just the way it is. When you got billionaires like Elon Musk and many others are saying, don't go to university. Even Google said, don't go to university for coding. Is it important to be a fast typer to learn and work as a coder? No, not important, because first of all, you'll become a fast typer just by learning to code over time. The most important thing is you want to develop your tactile typing skills. So make sure you place your fingers on the keyboard. You're looking, okay, I got this finger on the J, and I got this finger on the F. And you start by looking a little bit, but then you pull away and you don't look at your keyboard and you type, and you'll make mistakes. Better to go slow and be accurate than try to go fast, be inaccurate. And in time, your tactile and your your muscle memory. There we go. The muscle memory will kick in, and you'll start typing fast. But what happens when you're coding? You will be using an IDE, an integrated development environment, and coding software like VS Code, for example. And what happens is code completes for you. So you start the name of a function or a method, and then first three letters, and then it will complete it for you. And it will suggest, and you just hit the enter key or the tab key depending on the editor, boom, or the space, and then it'll just like. So it will start writing code for you quite fast. So speed of coding is not nearly as important as understanding. So don't worry about it. It will come, though. In case you pass a code interview, there are at least 21 more steps to measure if you fit the team and your personality and other soft skills. It's beyond coding nowadays, 100%, 100%. That's why I added soft skills training, Lizard Wizard, in my mentoring program, because I saw that people needed that, because it helps with your anxieties and your emotions, which will help you become a better communicator. But I'm actually going to put more soft skills training in the mentoring program as well. All right, we're an hour in. Great beginning music. Yeah, that's two things. Something I got off the web. If you like that jazzy sound, that was a copy of something called A Silent Way by Miles Davis. A Silent Way by Miles Davis. That jazzy, cool. It's a great album to code by. Just relax, chill, sip some wine. A Silent Way by Miles Davis. Highly recommend. And that more upbeat electronic sound music, that was mine. All right. Sorry I wasn't able to get to everybody, but we're into this for an hour. Voice is going, so I appreciate it. Thanks for joining the stream. And yeah, we'll see you in the, what's this? See you in the next one.